Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic is business activity, the first topic of IGCSE and O-Levels business studies. So today we are going to cover business activities first topic. This is from the section understanding business activity. So let's start. So today's lesson objectives we'll be talking about needs. We'll talk about wants, the difference between needs and wants, economic problem, 4 factors of production. Then we talk about scarcity, opportunity cost, specialization, and division of labor, the difference between these two. Then we'll talk about added value, and at the end we'll discuss that how to increase the added value in the business. Let's start. Needs. As it is written, it is basic necessities of life and it is necessary for survival. If we say necessary for survival, we mean that anything without which we cannot live. Think of something without which you cannot live. You cannot live without water. You cannot live without food. You cannot live without sun, its heat. You cannot live without gravity of earth. You cannot live without clothes, you can say. So these are the basic necessities of life. Just like you can see it in the images, that without water, you cannot survive. Without shelter, you cannot survive. Medicine is your need. Sun is our need. So the needs are the basic necessities of life without which we cannot survive. The next thing, which is quite opposite to need, is the luxuries of life. Anything which is not a necessity and anything without which we can survive and is basically the luxury and is our desires, our dreams. We can live without these things, but in the life, in order to upgrade ourselves, we actually want these things. What these things can be? The big house, mansion, then the branded clothes. You can see the gold ring, gold, and you can see Ferrari over there or any luxury car over there. So we can live without a big house. We can live without the branded clothes. We can live without golden ornaments, and we can live without a sports car or a Ferrari. So all of these things are not necessity, but are the desires. Everyone wants a big home, big mansion, big villa. Everyone wants to have the branded clothes. Everyone wants to have a diamond necklace, the gold chain, specifically the woman, and everyone wants to have a luxury car or sports car. So these things are the luxuries of life. Without these things we can survive, we can live, but are our desires. So needs is our necessity, which are necessary for survival, and wants, which are not necessary but our desires. So if there is a definition about needs, so you will say the basic necessities of life or anything that is necessary for survival is known as needs. Whereas when we talk about wants, so wants are the luxuries of life without which we can survive, and our desires, our dreams, and the things which are basically required in order to upgrade our lives or upgrade our standards of living. So this was the basic definition between needs and wants. Let's move on to the next slide. And before moving on to the next slide, you have to think by yourself. And what do you think, house versus mansion? Which one of these is a need and which one of these is a want? Think yourself and decide. House, need or want? House is a need, whereas a mansion or a big house, big villa is going to be a want. Think about clothing versus branded clothes. Clothing is a necessity of life, whereas branded clothes will be termed as wants. Water versus mineral water. Water is necessity. We cannot live without, we cannot survive without water. But mineral water is a luxury, is a want. We can live without mineral water. Got it? So smartphone versus an iPhone. What is smartphone? By smartphone, I mean a very basic phone, needs for the communication purposes. So any phone can be a need, whereas an iPhone may come in wants, because it may be without an iPhone you can survive, but phone may be termed as a necessity of life. Let's move on to the next topic, which is economic problem. We have discussed about a sports car in the previous slide, and we discussed about that these are actually the wants, these are actually the desires which everyone wants to have. Let's suppose I give you an option to do a survey, and you just have to go to 100 people and ask them that if they want a luxury car in their life like Ferrari, BMW or Audi, do they want it? What do you think their reply would be? I don't think anyone is going to reply in no. Everyone wants these type of cars. Everyone wants these luxury cars with them. So their answer would be yes. Okay, so you ask 100 people and their reply was yes. So everyone would want that luxury car. Now think about billions of people on earth. So if you're going to ask each and every individual, most of the people are going to say, yes, we want this car. We love these cars. These are amazing cars. We want to have them at least once in a lifetime. So now assume if the car was free for all, anyone can have the car if they want it. And the question over here is, even if it is free, can Ferrari make these billions of cars for billion of people? Can they make it? I believe they can't. The reason is because they need a lot of things. They need an equipment, they need iron, they need rubber for the tires. So they need hundreds and thousands of tons of these metals and these things, and they need hundreds and thousands of people to organize and make these cars for billions of people on earth. So they are not able to manufacture these number of billions of cars. Even if it is free, they are not able to make these cars for the people because of the limited resources available to them. So when we talk about the limited resources, this actually we call economic problem. So what is economic problem? Everyone wants the car, but we have limited resources to make that thing. Got it? So economic problem is that there are unlimited wants by the people. Everyone wants everything, but there are very limited resources available on earth to produce these type of things. Got it? So what do you think? Was money the problem behind this economic issue? So behind this economic problem, money was not the issue, as the car was already free. So anyone who can say, right now you can say in the real life, yes, I don't have money to buy that car. Once if I have that money, I should have bought that car. So let's suppose if I say if it is free, that means you can have that car. But the problem is, no, Ferrari is unable to produce that number of cars for everyone. Therefore, money was not the problem. The problem was the limited resources available to Ferrari. Okay. So actually, whenever the students are attempting these type of questions, specifically about the economic problem, what they do is, if the question says, what is the economic problem and why, what is the exact cause of this problem? Most of the people say economic problem is, yes, it is the limited wants, unlimited wants versus the limited resources available. And the cause of the economic problem is, they say money, because people have don't have the money. That's why they can't buy these cars. So they believe it is the economic problem. The answer is wrong. Actually, the problem is not the money. The problem is the limited resources. So the limited resource is the actual cause of the economic problem over there. Got it? So that means economic problem is unlimited wants of the people and limited resources available to the people, to the company specifically. So this is what we call as economic problem. Next is factors of production. So what are factors of production? Factors of production are basically, previously we talk about Ferrari and we talk about they have limited resources. When we talk about limited resources, so the word resources is basically our factors of production. This leads to the definition of factors of production. So anything that is desired to produce that Ferrari will be called as the factor which is influencing the production of Ferrari, which is required in the production of Ferrari. So in the factors of production, we can say the resources required to make goods and services. So the resources required to make a Ferrari, any resource will be called as a factor of production. So what are the ingredients required in making a Ferrari? Let's think: steel, iron ore, rubber for the tires and all other things. They may need glass. They may need lots of labor, those who are going to assemble these cars. They may need machinery, the machinery which is going to manufacture and which is going to assemble and which is going to like make the things, mold the things for us, make the engines for us, make the doors for us, mold the doors for us. So a lot of machinery is required by a car manufacturing company. Then the owners, and by the owners we mean the investors, by investors and we mean managers, supervisors, all of those people who are organizing the things in the offices, in the production department, in the production of the Ferrari. So all those people are required as well. So these people will be known as factors of production as well. So everyone who is going to give an input in making of that car and helping out in making of these cars will be called as the factors of production. So we can divide the factors of production in 4 major parts that are called as 4 factors of production. So the factors of production can be land, labor, capital, and enterprise. We'll discuss all of these 4 sections one by one in the next slide. So for factor of production, the first factor of production was the land. What do we mean by land? Any resource that is being extracted from the land is called as land, the natural resource. Like from the land we are extracting oil, we're extracting gas, we're extracting coal. So all of these things, the natural resources, will be called as land. And we have got the agriculture. All of the crops being grown up through land will be termed as factor of production under land. The cattle farms that are producing milk and meat for us, those cattle farms will be called as land as well. So anything that has been produced from the land directly or indirectly is termed under the reference of land in 4 factors of production. So land is the first factor of production, and anything that is coming out of land, either it is the natural resource or we are growing crops, and the cattle which is being bred, cattle which are having the food from the land are known as the natural resource or the natural habitat which we are getting from the land. Second is labor. By labor we mean anyone who is helping out to make anything. While talking about the factory production, like we discussed an example of Ferrari in the previous slides, we said that we may need lots of people, those who are going to assemble that car, manufacture that car, operate the machinery, manage janitorial stuff over there, they give them whatever they need, deliver the raw materials to them. And so all of these people will be termed as under the labor. That means the drivers, those who are delivering the goods to the factory, the managers, those who are managing the things, the journal labor, the janitorial staff who are just cleaning up the space as well, the painter who is painting the car, the anybody who is basically helping out, any person, any human being who is helping out in manufacturing of that car is known as labor. Capital. When we talk about capital, capital means it can be money. That means if you need to manufacture Ferrari, initially you need a lot of money in order to invest, in order to purchase the huge machineries, in order to purchase a factory over there. So that will be termed as a capital. You may need a lot of machines in order to mold, in order to manufacture the things, in order to help you out in manufacturing the Ferrari. So those machines in the factories are also called as capital. Then you need a lot of equipment that is going to help you out in manufacturing process. That will be called as capital as well. So generally we say all of the things which are directly or indirectly supporting the manufacturing process. By the things we mean, the capital means money. By the things we mean machine. By things we mean equipment, and the term of capital. So the capital is money, machine, equipment. Then an enterprise. Enterprise, entrepreneur is somebody, the owner, who is somebody who's taking the risk and bringing in all of these three factors together. Like the owner of Ferrari, what is he doing? It was his idea to manufacture Ferrari. It was his idea to manage the things. So he's managing the land. By land, we mean that he's managing the factory. Like he might have bought the land and he might have erected a huge buildings, a production units, and he might be upgrading those units every second, third year. That, who's managing it? The entrepreneur. So the land, he's managing the land. He's managing a lot of labors. By labor, we mean all of the people who are working in those factories, who are making and manufacturing the Ferrari. He's managing all of that. The owner, again, second factor. Third factor, he is managing the investment of the people. He is managing the machines. He is managing the equipment over there, and he is managing all of the purchases and sales over there. So overall, generally, the owners and the investors are directly or indirectly through other people are managing the whole stuff of the organization. Think about Mark Zuckerberg. While he may not be doing all of the things in Facebook, he may not be developing everything, but at the end of the day, it has to be approved by him. It has to be monitored by him. It has to be under his authority. So Mark Zuckerberg is managing all of the things in Facebook by using other people, by assigning the tasks to other people. So that is why Mark Zuckerberg can be termed as an entrepreneur. Okay. So moving on to the next point, which is, okay, so here is a short activity for you. So we have discussed about the 4 factors of production. Before starting this activity, let's give a quick sneak peek over the 4 factors once again and remember these 4 factors. First factor was the land. Second was the labor. Third was the capital, and fourth was the enterprise. And you must have known that what are these 4 factors. Land, anything related to the land, even the building. Labor, any person who is supporting in production, in giving the services. Capital, money, machine, equipment, and then the enterprise, the owner. Now think about the skills of a teacher. What do you think it is? Skill of a teacher might not be coming under the term of land, obviously. What do you think? So that means the skills of a teacher is not a land. It's not a land. The skill of a teacher is not a capital. It's not equipment. Teacher is not an equipment. And a teacher is not the owner of the organization, the manager of the organization. Teacher is somebody who is a kind of a labor, who is supporting the higher management, who is supporting the owner of the schools in order to achieve their objectives. So therefore, we can say a teacher can be termed as a labor. An oil field. An oil field, what is the purpose of an oil field? to extract an oil from land. So if it is extracting oil from land, that means it is coming under the term of land. Tea pickers. By tea pickers, we mean anyone who is plucking the tea leaves from the plant. A machine is plucking. If the machine is plucking, you can say it's capital, but actually it's not the machine, it's the human, it's the people who are plucking the leaves out of those tea plants. So basically, they are the general labor. They are the humans. And then a trawler. By trawler, we mean that a tractor, a trawler, that means it is used to deliver the products from one place to another. So that means the trawler is not extracting resources from land. So this is not a land. A trawler is not a human, it cannot be a labor. But a trawler can be a capital. As in the definition of a capital, we said that a money, a machine, and equipment. A trawler is a machine, therefore we can say a trawler can be termed as a capital. All right? A shopping mall, the owners of a budget airline. By the word owners, you may have understood that word. What are they talking about? A plow. Investment on a stock exchange. By investment, we mean money. And professional footballers, a railway line. So you have to decide where these things should be, which factor of production they are classified in, right? So I have solved first 4 points for you, and you have to solve the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rest of the 6 points. You have to solve it by yourself, and if you want to see the answers are available at afzalshad.com/answers, and I'll give you the link in the video as well. Okay, so moving on to the next part, it is scarcity. So what is scarcity? So we discussed about the economic problem already. So scarcity is basically, by the word scarce, we mean limited, less. So unlimited wants, that was Ferrari initially we talk about Ferrari, that everyone wanted that Ferrari. So this was unlimited want by unlimited people, but there was limited resources available for manufacturing that Ferrari, and by limited resources, we have already discussed, these resources can be called as factors of production. So actually, scarcity is unlimited wants versus limited resources. We have got very limited resources on earth, but we have unlimited wants by the people. We have to balance this thing, and this balancing effect is called as scarcity. We have unlimited wants, but we have limited resources. That leads to a scarcity of resources. That leads to a scarcity thing. So by unlimited wants, we have already discussed in the previous slides that Ferrari, we wanted that. Everyone wanted that. Everyone who loved it. Then, but we had a very limited resource, all of the factors of production like limited steel, rubber, labor, limited machinery to produce, and even the limited entrepreneurs. All 4 factors of production in order to manufacture that Ferrari was limited. So this is what we called as scarcity. And what happens after this is everyone wants a Ferrari, but we have limited resources in order to manufacture that Ferrari. And what's the result? The result is there are very limited cars in the market. And the lesser the number of the cars, the higher the price is going to be, because they are going to control the things at the price. So higher the production, lower the price. Lower the production, higher the price. And by lower the production means the lower production of units, number of units produced after a month. So if it is higher, so think about a Ferrari versus Toyota Corolla. So if you're talking about Ferrari, the number of production in a month will be far lesser than number of production of cars produced by Toyota Corolla or Honda or Suzuki. What is the reason behind that? Because they are producing more, because the cost of the thing is less. We'll discuss this element in the next chapter as well. So right now, scarcity is something that unlimited wants, but we have very limited resources in order to meet those unlimited wants. Therefore, we have limited number of cars in the market, and those limited number of cars that are being produced due to the limited resources known as scarcity. All right. So next point is the opportunity cost. So in this chapter, we have a lot of new terms. If you understand these terms, this will be used again and again in the next chapter. This is going to be your baseline. So as a baseline, you can use these terms. Just try to understand these terms. And if somebody asks you what is opportunity cost, you must know that. If somebody asks you what is scarcity, what are 4 factors of production, what do you mean by capital in factors of production? So all these questions must be answered by you after completing this chapter. So moving on to the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative given up by choosing the best option. You might be confused by this statement. So let me clear that thing for you. Let's split this statement and see what do we mean by that. Next best alternative. That means you are choosing something over another. So the next best alternative, which is given up. So you are giving up the next best thing, but you're choosing the best one by choosing the best one. So you have chosen the best, and the next best is you have sacrificed that next best thing. Got it? So when you're choosing the best thing for yourself, but you have to sacrifice some other thing because of the limited resources available to you, because of the limited amount of money in your pocket. Let's see some of the examples. Suppose you have got 50 rupees in your pocket. By 50 rupees, or you can say $5. So if you have like limited amount of money in your pocket, and you can have either an ice cream on that amount, or you can have a chocolate. What are you going to choose? You might have gone, so it's a summer season, it's quite a temperate environment, and you would love to have an ice cream at that point. If that's the point, if that's the reason, whatever the reason is, so if you're choosing an ice cream, and you are sacrificing the chocolate, so the thing which you have chosen is what you have chosen already, but the thing which you have sacrificed will be called as an opportunity cost. So this thing will be called as chocolate in this scenario, will be called as an opportunity cost. Got it? So let's move on to the other example, a donut and a cupcake. Again, you have one choice. So if you choose donut over a cupcake, therefore a cupcake will be called as your sacrifice, and that sacrifice will mean an opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is kind of a sacrifice being given up by you. So these were 2 examples of your individual decisions. Moving on to the next part is the decisions which are going to be made by the government. By that we mean in government you have one option. So either you can develop the janitorial work, you can like clean up your environment by getting the updated equipment. You get the new trucks that are going to be very automated, that are going to like pick up the people are just going to put the stuff in it, and it is going to manage all of the things. So you have got the high-tech latest machinery in order to clean your environment. So the latest equipment for cleaning purposes. If you have chosen this truck over building a road, that means you have chosen a truck, but you have sacrificed the road. If you have sacrificed the road, that sacrifice is called as the opportunity cost. Next is a school versus an hospital. So if government wants to have a school, they have to sacrifice a hospital. So you might have seen in the previous era that the governments, either they are focusing on the schools education, or they're more focused towards the schools. So in one area, if you have like limited resource available, if you have, let's suppose you have got 1 million rupees or $0.1 million, and you can either have a school upgraded or you can have an hospital upgraded. So you choose a school to be upgraded and you have sacrificed your hospital to be upgraded. That means that sacrifice, the hospital, becomes your opportunity cost. Got it? So let's move on to the next slide. So these were the decisions made by the government.